there, people of YouTube land. It's your boy Sailor Dodo here, back today with another episode of the Godcast. I'm back with my usual partner in crime, Austin, and today we're going to be discussing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the anime. I'll let you kind of like do your intro, Austin. What do you have to say?
Alright, well, we're going to be talking about JoJo, of course, as you said, and man, this is one of my favorite shows ever.
Oh,
probably my second favorite anime next to One Piece. It's the only one that's really ever come close to One Piece for me.
yeah.
I adore this series.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with among my favorites as well. I'd say my three favorite animes of all time are JoJo. I'd say it would be One Piece and Sailor Moon. Those are my top three ever. And you can like say whatever three is my favorite because anytime I watch or read one of those three, they're my favorite at that given time. So it's going to be a lot of fun discussing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because recently, Part 5, Golden Wind, Vento Oreo, or Vento Aerono, whatever you want to call it, it got announced. It's getting animated. I know we're really late to this subject
The
matter.
prophecy.
The prophecy has been foretold. It's happening. The destined day is among us. Well, it was among us a couple weeks ago, like I said.
Yeah.
We're getting to this pretty late, but, you know, the past couple of weeks necessarily haven't really allowed Austin and I to kind of do this. It's been kind of rough. Actually, it's not so much the point. Anytime we try to like do a podcast, we just kind of
lags.
It lags. We actually had another podcast planned. We're going to talk about the Dragon Ball fandom. However, it was unsalvageable. So hopefully today things work out. Our Discord has been working just fine. The audio quality sounds fine. So I'm excited to see how this turns out. So, I think we're going to start out with this podcast by talking about our personal opinions on every single arc of the JoJo franchise. Part 1, Phantom Blood. Part 2, Battle Tendency. Part 3, Stardust Crusaders with Battle in Egypt. Part 4, Diamonds Unbreakable. And I haven't seen anything else. Austin has read pretty much the entirety of the manga series up to this point.
I have read up through Part 7. I have not started Part 8 because it's not finished yet, but I will start it before it finishes, though.
So, without further ado, I think I've been nattering a lot. I'll let Austin take the first part. So, how do you feel about Part 1, Phantom Blood?
With Part 1, when I went into JoJo, I'd been hearing so much hype about this series. Everybody loves JoJo so much. You know, it's like the king of memes, basically. I mean, it might as well be meme itself, the series. Mm-hmm. And I started it, and it didn't... JoJo is one of those where it didn't click with me immediately. I liked Phantom Blood at first. I liked the beginning up through, like, when the house burns down and everything happens with Dio. But it's definitely my least favorite part of the series, just because it's just the introductory, and it's a lot shorter than the other ones.
Yeah.
But as an introductory part, I think it's very good for what it does. Jonathan Joestar is a pretty underrated protagonist, honestly, and it introduces Dio, who's like one of the best villains ever.
Yeah. Ever, not just anime, but I think he transcends it. He's just like the physical embodiment of pure evil. There's nothing redeemable about him, but fuck, he looks... I'm sorry, my mom even watched JoJo, and she just thought he was like the hunkiest guy that ever existed. I have my 43-year-old mother having a husbando. He's so freaking like attractive here. So yeah,
and
Dio
Part
Brando,
1,
definitely one of the best villains.
Part 1 with that, it's like I finished it. I really like it. It's still my least favorite of the group of them, but you'll understand later on why it's my least favorite, because the series gets so unbelievably amazing that the earlier parts just don't even compare to what's later on.
That's exactly how I feel about it. With JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I was exposed to a certain group of people on Twitter that stan the series with such a feral ferocity. And so I was very curious about the series, and one day they asked me, you know, do you want to watch some JoJo's with us on a Discord, and we'll watch it on, like, Kiss Anime. Oh, no, I was pirating anime. I'm such a bad person. But, yeah, I pirated. I watched it on Kiss Anime with a couple of friends. And I was fascinated by what I saw. I watched the first 3 episodes of it, and I was like, I'm interested in it. I thought it had really good storytelling. It was fast-paced. Jonathan Joestar came off as, like, a gentleman. He was a little on the cliche side because because he was just sort of like, I'm a good guy. And then you had like the perfect good versus evil narrative with Jonathan representing pureness, with Dio representing everything that's like terrible with the world, with humanity rather. It's a very well told story. However, it wasn't, the first 3 episodes weren't enough to satiate my interest for it until this year, where I went back and I rewatched it when a group of friends who I'm far closer with started watching. As a matter of fact, it was partially because of you, Austin, that I was sort of getting curious about, like, when you're reading through part 7 and you were like, this is like one of the coolest animes ever. I remember the day that I got Mario Odyssey, you got the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 Blu-ray set. And
yeah, I love that set.
I love it too. So you sent me all these pictures of that, and I was, this is fascinating. So I figured I would give it a try once I finished other obligations. So I finished Sailor Moon and Hunter x Hunter. And I said, after that, I'll watch JoJo. So I went into Phantom Blood, I watched the original Phantom Blood, and I could not stop watching every episode. I already thought that this series was mind-bogglingly good into things that I'd watch in retrospect. Like I said, Phantom Blood is also my least favorite part, but here's the thing. For people who are watching this that haven't watched JoJo, you'll understand why. It's not that Phantom Blood is a bad arc. It's a really really good first arc. It gets things so started really well. But it's like comparing East Blue of One Piece to Water 7.
Yeah.
Things get so ridiculously better and good already. So just think, if you watch it and you love Phantom Blood, which I did. I thought Phantom Blood was really good. I already loved it. Battle Tendency takes things to new levels, and then when we get the introduction of Stans, oh my fucking god, you are not ready for how absurdly masterfully written this series is. But that's sort of my take on part 1. I had some experience with it for a while, but I eventually watched it, I got into it. However, it was just the segue into greater things. So with that, we're going to talk about the second part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Battle Tendency. And as always, you can go.
And well, I will say with both part 1 and part 2, they're both, I really want to go back and watch them again. When I go back and watch the part 3 dub, I'm going to go back and watch part 1 and 2 in the sub, actually, because I watched them in the dub first.
Okay, that's an interesting take.
We've got a lot coming up with that, with the part 4 dub.
Oh boy, yeah, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it couldn't be a better time to be a fan.
Yeah,
part 4 getting dubbed, part 5 getting animated, part 4 getting like hardcover manga releases, the Viz fucking releases, which are incredible and you should consider buying them. I have Phantom Blood that way, because it was just a good start to get Phantom Blood, and man, the JoJo manga, such a masterpiece. It's just drawn so well, told so well. I've always preferred anime over manga, but JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a series which I believe that the anime and the manga are just as good as the other. I know that will spark some debates where we're like, the manga's so much better, or the anime is so much better. But meanwhile, I just like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because the series is fucking awesome.
Nah, bro, they'll bandwagon the anime when it gets to part 6. Just wait.
Yeah, they already fucking hate part 6 for some reason, but you all know people are gonna, part 6 is such a good anime when it comes in. Pretty much.
Oh yeah, they're gonna start saying 6 is like the best part. I've been calling this for so long that people are gonna start bandwagoning that part.
I mean, it already it emanates from Jolene herself, because how could you hate a part that has somebody so hot as the protagonist? It's not right.
With part 2 though, it's I think it's so much better than the first part. I really do. You get Joseph Joestar, who's my favorite character of the whole series. You get the Pillar Men, who I love as villains. They're just, I don't even have any words to describe the Pillar Men. You just kind of have to look them up yourself to see them.
Yeah, they're definitely their own term, that's for sure.
And their theme song is awesome. The music in this series is like incredible, by the way, especially the openings.
The openings and endings, they're just beyond words good. Yeah, timeless.
And with part 2, it's just so fucking, it's really crazy. Like, very, very fucking crazy part. Muscles everywhere. It's probably the most muscular part of JoJo, I would say.
It's definitely the arc with the most muscle messiahs, that's for sure.
Yeah. I really love part 2. I think I liked part 1, and then when I really got into part 2, that was like where I was like, this is a very good series, and I'm really liking this at this point.
Yeah, that's where you became enamored with the series. That's where you started to grow a bit of a passion for it. And it was the same thing with me. I watched part 1. It was good. I loved it. I couldn't stop watching it. However, I felt that part 1 was just segueing into bigger and better things. And as soon as I saw Joseph Joestar with his fucking characteristic where he'd be like, predict something that everyone would say. He was such a cocky guy. He was so funny, so likable. And I've heard people go, he's not a deep character, blah, blah, blah.
Not supposed to be. He doesn't need to be.
When at day's end, isn't anime just meant to be entertainment? I personally don't find there to be an any more entertaining character pretty much in all of anime than Joseph Joestar. He just makes me smile every time I see him on screen because he always does something so crazy, so ridiculous, so wild, and so unpredictable. He's just that fucking good. And then we get an amazing chemistry with him and Caesar Zeppeli, who was like the straight-faced sort of guy. But he was a ladies' man.
Lisa.
Lisa's so hot. Dude, I guarantee you anybody has seen, like, the bath scene and all that stuff. And by the way, if my
nice.
Mom... Bruh, nice! But, real talk, if my mom was as hot as Lisa, I would have no regrets. Doing like Joseph did.
Oremo.
Oh, total Oremo action. But you know I'm right. Lisa just transcends motherhood and is just... That's a buy, as the food reviewer would say. That's a buy right there. That ass, what a busty lady she is. But busty in the best possible way imaginable.
You get Susie Q also.
Susie Q's also real busty. But Susie Q...
Part 2 is just so great, like really. Oh, yeah. Anybody that hasn't seen this, like, seriously go watch it.
No, and also, for a series that's so wacky, it has its fair share of very emotional moments. So, you know, Caesar's death, everybody knows about that scene, but I was surprised with how deeply connected I felt to Caesar's character when he passed away. How well the scene was told, how well the story was driven. Like, yeah, it might seem like it's wacky, but I consider it in the same sense where it's One Piece, where it's just so ridiculous, but it's ridiculously awesome while it does everything. It's just so well told, it's so entertaining. So, no matter what emotion it's getting out of you, I guarantee it will. And Battle Tendency was the arc that made me realize that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was as good of an anime as everybody made it out to be. It was, and also we get expansion on already existing mechanics such as Hamon, which was introduced in Phantom Blood. This was taken up a notch. We also get ridiculous side characters like von Stroheim, who that's a good Nazi right there. You can't deny that.
Yeah.
The Pillarmen are sex gods. They are sex incarnate. Their form is amazing.
Wamu, who's named after Wham, George Michael. So by default, he's amazing.
Shouldn't Wamu's movement instead of Divine Sandstorm be Careless Whisper? Then I'm just gonna put that out there. And then before he says like the movie should be Last Christmas I gave you my heart or something like that. That's the trigger to Divine Sandstorm because it's Wamu. And then we had AC/DC, very obvious, where he gets the name.
All the characters named after like old rock stars and everything, old music references.
And Stan's also because in part 7, you know, Funny Valentine, Dirty Deeds, Done Dirt Cheap. That's an AC/DC song. So, yeah, you're going to get a lot of musical references, and this coincides with ending themes. So, the ending theme of Part 1 and Part 2 is Roundabout by S, which is a prog rock masterpiece. Then we get Walk Like an Egyptian by the Bangles for the first part of Stardust Crusaders. Then we get Last Train Home by the Pat Metheny Group. Very, very good piece of music for Battle in Egypt. And then we get a Savage Garden song in Part 4, which is wild. But it suits the tone of the arc, I give it that. But it is definitely a wild card. But it makes sense given the fact that Part 4 is 1999, the 90s. Savage Garden was big, and it's kind of lighthearted, suits the overall feel of that arc. But we'll get into that later. That's sort of how I feel about Part 2 Battle Tendency. It's just where everything was taken up to JoJo levels of awesomeness. But believe it or not, Stardust Crusaders fucking takes that beyond even more.
Yeah.
Let you go.
The Part 3 is where I became like a fucking JoJo fanboy for life. This arc is a fucking masterpiece regardless of what anybody will say online about it. People that know it's the most popular one and will hate on it, you know, whatever. I fucking love Part 3. This is one of the greatest arcs ever, probably in my top 10 favorites ever. I just adore it.
I can't blame you. With part 3, we got so much new shit for the series. We got the introduction of stands, which is something that people would sort of be ambivalent about. I tend to see people view like the introduction of stands was sort of like a grain of salt, like, oh, look, Talmon more.
Yeah.
I never understood that, where stands were so much more creative. It led to so much more creative battles, deeper lure. It was just like Star Platinum was so fucking badass. You know, Hermit Purple, Magician's Red, fucking Hierophant Green. It's like every single character has their own Pokemon or something like that. And
yeah, seriously.
I loved that. It was a very neat concept to watch unfold where everybody, not only do they use their fucking hands and fists themselves, but they can also fight using these stands in very, very creative ways. So you never know what you were going to expect with Stardust Crusaders.
You know, with stands, I wasn't sure at first, like, what I've thought about them. And we didn't have, like, Hamon anymore, but we had the stands. I really came to love the stands. I think it's probably one of the coolest parts of the whole series.
I think stands are without a doubt the coolest abilities in any anime, to be honest, because of how diverse they are, of the abilities that each stand has are so unique and different from every single other anime I've seen.
Something that I love about JoJo is just these fights, these stand fights. I don't think I've ever seen more creative fights in an anime or a manga.
Yeah,
I really don't know how Araki comes up with a lot of it.
He's a genius writer for being able to come up with all of this stuff. He really is. Do not discredit this man's writing or artistic abilities, because he's one of the best mangakas in the world. I'd say in history. To be able to formulate and put into work such complex fights and have them make so much sense. The writing of JoJo is truly something to be marveled at. The introduction of stands only further solidifies it as being a very, very well-told series. I can't stress it enough. Part 3...
And then you get that great cast in Part 3. You got Joseph back again. You got Jotaro, Kakyoin, Polnareff, who was a personal favorite of mine, also Avdol, Iggy. Dio's back as the villain. This is great.
Yeah, it was the closure to everything we'd seen up to that point. So Phantom Blood, Battle Tendency all came together in this one arc with a whole bunch of new stuff happened. I don't give a shit. Like you said, when people say online, people are like, oh, Stardust Crusaders is like the worst arc. No, you're just lying to yourself. You're just saying that to have a different opinion from the majority.
I really find it fascinating how when I was watching it, I was loving every episode so much. I was like, wow, I love how each episode is like its own adventure, and it's like a Monster of the Week type formula. And then I go online and see some people have the exact opposite. They were like, I found it to be quite boring with the Monster of the Week formula. I was like, that's just interesting how I loved it so much, and they didn't like it at all.
Well, that's why I love Sailor Moon. I mean, Sailor Moon's Monster of the Week. I love that sort of storytelling style where we have a different story with characters and adventures that all build towards a larger picture, a larger scale.
Yeah.
Their whole point was going to Egypt to fight Dio and save Holly, which is Jotaro's mother and Joseph's daughter. That was the goal of Stardust Crusaders. And then we meet up with a whole bunch of cool characters along the way that all have their own personal vendettas to avenge. Darby. Fucking hell. The game.
Darby brothers.
The Darby brothers,
Oingo Boingo brothers.
The Oingo Boingo
brothers.
Whole Horse. There's just so many amazing characters. I mean, there was also, I in particular remember, like, the old lady that held the Justice card making Polnareff lick a toilet. I just thought, man, what an adorable scene that was. Good. I
mean, what other anime are you going to see this type of shit at, really?
Exactly. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure just screams originality. It's just so unique. I can't stress that enough. So I had already loved Part 1, I'd already loved Part 2, but when I got to Part 3, where it was laid out like my favorite anime series of all time, Sailor Moon, with like sort of like similar abilities. So for instance, okay, Sailor Guardians, they have like moves that they use. So let's just say Sailor Mars uses fucking Fire Soul or whatever. Well, guess what? Stands work in the exact same way, where it's sort of like Hierophant Green, Kakyoin's stand, Emerald Splash.
Yep.
That's a move that they use.
Magician's Red.
Magician's Red, exactly. They all have these moves that they do for their respective stands, their offensive abilities. Yep. And they can use them in such a variety of ways that I was never able to guess what they were going to encounter next, how they were going to deal with said encounter. I just thought, what a masterpiece. And then by the end, when Jotaro finally kills Dio, I thought, that's actually, spoiler, that's my favorite fight in anime history. It's so iconic. I'm sorry, but it is my favorite fight in anime history. Seeing, like, fucking the World, Star Platinum, fucking...
Oh, yeah, I love the
stuff.
World's always been one of my favorite stands.
Just the ability to stop time. I'm a sucker for stopping time, too. Like, time fucking manipulation and shit. That's my favorite. Oh, you got a lot of that in JoJo's. You get a lot of that in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when it comes to time manipulation, altering realities. And somehow...
Yeah, really.
I've seen so many big budget films, like, try to go, like, Inception bullshit, where they try to do, like, this sort of, like, same thing, but yet it never ends up working out. It always ends up being very confusing to follow, whereas JoJo, the story is so well told... The fucking Hollywood directors, fucking script writers, take fucking notes here. This is how you do time shit. I'm sorry. This is how it's done.
And can we also mention Joseph Joestar whenever he says, "Oh my God"? Those are like legendary moments. Also,
holy shit!
Yeah, the English in Part 3. It's like meme city.
Yeah, dude. I just don't know how anybody could even dislike this arc. It's impossible.
Like, really, how do you, like, I just don't get it, seriously. How does somebody watch this and they're like, God, I just don't find this entertaining at all?
It's so boring. It's so dumb entertainment. I've heard that term a lot. It's dumb entertainment. What? Entertainment is entertainment.
Dumb entertainment.
If you're entertained, you're entertained. It's not like it's dumb entertainment. Entertainment's entertainment. Okay, you don't have to be like, well, I know it's dumb. You don't have to have any of these false pretenses. You don't.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it had more creativity in the first Darby fight than most anime have
ever
series.
Period. No, it was so creative. So Part 3 was the series, the arc, Stardust Crusaders, that really, really, really established JoJo as one of my favorite animes of all time. When I watched it,
that was the one for me.
When I saw Jotaro look at the fucking picture that they took in Egypt before they fought Dio, and then they're like taking the plane ride back home to Japan, I thought, I'd seen one of the greatest arcs I'd ever seen in my life. Actually, I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed even just thinking about the amount of awesomeness that's inside this arc and how perfect of a story it told.
Even those old-ass OVAs of Part 3 are pretty good.
Haven't seen them, but I really love the animation direction in them. I saw the Dio versus Jotaro fight in the OVA, and I thought it looked spectacular. Because I'm a big fan of old animation. Something I will say is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is one of the most beautifully animated series I've ever seen. Ever. The openings are so visually appealing. There's not one fucking bad frame of animation to be found here. Every single frame is just so much effort's put into the series. You can really sense that in comparison to so many other mainstream animes. And believe it or not, folks, believe it or not, if you thought the Stardust Crusaders was amazing, oh boy, because we're going
It gets even better.
It gets even motherfucking better in Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, and I have a lot to say about this arc, as it is my second favorite arc in anime history. It really is, so I've got a lot to say about it, but first, I'll let you talk about Part 4.
Diamond is Unbreakable is... I was already... When I got done with Stardust Crusaders, the thought in my mind was, surely the next part can't be better than what I just saw, because if it is, it's going to have to be so fucking unbelievably good to beat that. Mm-hmm. And by the end of Part 4, I was like, yeah, that was even better than Stardust Crusaders was. I mean, man, what a fucking arc. You got Josuke, even Joseph is in it some again. His final appearances are in this arc. Jotaro is back. You get such a great cast. And the villain, Kira, is one of the best villains ever in anime. This arc's writing is absolutely superb, and it's so unique with how it does the whole, serial killer in a small town type vibe. It's just amazing, really. I love Part 4.
Part 4, I was always curious to watch JoJo's because of Part 4, because when I have this very certain feeling when I know something is going to be a favorite of mine. I can't really put my finger on it, but when I looked at games like Skies of Arcadia, when I looked at Sailor Moon, I was like, this is going to be one of my favorites. Before I even played it, before I even watched it, I knew it'd be one of my favorites. When I saw Josuke, when I saw Morio Town, when I just saw the certain vibe that arc had, I already
Crazy, noisy, bizarre town.
Yeah, that was the opening that made me want to watch the series indefinitely. I was like, man, what a fucking good song! And like I saw the artistic style of it, I was drawn to it. So I was like, I'll watch everything that came beforehand to catch myself up for this one arc, Diamond is Unbreakable. I finally got to Diamond is Unbreakable, and I can safely say I have never seen an arc with as good of like writing as this, unless we're talking about One Piece. Then yeah, One Piece, like of course, like there's Water 7, and like there's Marineford, Dressrosa, there's all of that. Of course, like those are masterfully told. But Diamond is Unbreakable, for me anyway, is probably the best written arc I've ever seen. And it has my favorite JoJo. It has my favorite lead character of the series, Josuke Higashikata. I fucking love Josuke. He's just such a charming, sweet character. And he has these little quirks, too. Like, you don't want to diss his hairstyle. However, he has reasons for hating it. Every single little nook and cranny is accounted for in some form of storytelling. Everything gets a backstory. And something that I always appreciate about Diamond is Unbreakable over Stardust Crusaders, usually when you beat a stand user, aside from the rare appearance from, like, Whole Horse or something, you usually never see them again. Morio Town is an all-encompassing town, where everybody that we fight against usually end up becoming allies. So we end up seeing pretty much every stand user again in a variety of different situations. Say, like, somebody like Yukiko. Ooh, I have a very odd opinion where I think Yukiko is like the hottest JoJo girl imaginable.
Yes, she's up there.
Yeah, I just think she's so hot for some reason. I don't know why. That's something that I disagree with my mom with a lot, because my mom hates Yukiko, and I'm just like, I fucking love her. But she like triggers me by saying like the Maria Magnet girl is better, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, sure.
It's always like sort of fun to just poke fun at me like that, but man, the Aubrey Stain user just comes together, and Kira Yoshikage, the villain of Part 4, is the most interesting villain I've ever seen in fiction, believe it or not. There is just something about his mannerisms, his attitude. His whole gimmick is that he just wants to live a quiet, peaceful life. Nothing wrong with that, you know, there's nothing wrong with what he's trying to do. However, the very first time we see him, he's just driving home, and then he takes, like, his girlfriend's hand out of the car.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna make
hand fetish.
together. And it turns out the hand that he's holding is a severed fucking hand of a murder victim. He's a serial killer, ladies and gentlemen. And, man, his stand killer queen has some of the coolest abilities you could imagine.
I was going to say, I thought earlier, Part 4 has probably some of the coolest stands, like, ever.
Oh, Part 4, from what I saw, has my favorite stands easily. Killer Queen, like, its ability bites the dust, has to be one of the coolest abilities I've ever seen in fiction. It's so unbeatable. The only way that you're going to defeat Kira at the end was literally justice versus his good luck. Fucking justice prevailed in the end. That's such good storytelling. It's not just, I beat the fuck out of you like fucking Jotaro versus Dio. No, it wasn't a matter of just fist flying. This was a battle of forces of the universe. Just because of this one move bites the dust. When you can fucking make the universe hate you for a move so justice prevails in the end, you know that you have a pretty fucking powerful move. And like his character of Kira actually goes through many different little layers and nuance. Like for instance, he shows compassion. Like for instance, Kira, as a spoiler alert, he takes the identity of another man when our crew find out his identity. Up living his life, and he ends up forming some feelings and bonds towards the man's wife that he took over. So it's definitely some interesting situations where you think of, was Kira pure evil like Dio after all, or was he just really fucked up? And I think it's a mix of both. I think that Kira, yeah, he's fucked up indefinitely. There's no doubt about that, nor is there any justification for any of what he did. But I don't think he was pure evil. It's weird to think that, but just his mannerisms, the way he acts, there's so many little layers to his character that really, you can really just think about it for a long time afterwards. And Josuke, don't even get me started on Josuke. Josuke was such a perfect balance to Kira with Josuke.
My second favorite character of the series.
Such a well-designed, that's a very awesome character to love. Such an awesome design, awesome personality. Yeah. His stand Crazy Diamond. Ugh. Basically, it's just Star Platinum, but instead of being able to stop time, he can heal things. Which leads to a very, very, very cool variety of stand and, like, offensive abilities that I'm like, whoa, I can't believe he thought of that. It always leads to some really cool shit. And his best friend's Koichi, he was an awesome character. Okuyasu, he was amazing. There's so much charm in this arc. Just, I love it so much.
Yeah, Okuyasu is... He's awesome. So he's just such an awesome, like, you know, friend to Josuke.
He is. He's such a friend. You know, at the end when Kira uses one of his bombs on Okuyasu.
Yeah, and he returns.
Yeah. And the kid was like, he's dead. He's not dead, I swear to God! And Josuke, like, he has blood and tears pouring down on his face because Okuyasu means that much. And he said, Okuyasu's my best friend. And you know what? You fucking feel that in your heart when he says that. You feel it deeply. You feel that camaraderie.
Take that, Koichi.
Yeah, well, Koichi, I mean, he's good. But, I mean, he can't necessarily complain when he's got somebody like Yukiko basically humping his leg.
Getting locked in a fucking house by her. Getting stalked. Probably some of the most entertaining episodes ever.
Yeah. The episodes are so entertaining in Diamond is Unbreakable. The way that
also, Rohan is introduced in this.
I love Rohan. I fucking love Rohan!
Yeah.
Jesus, Rohan's my
got his own spin-off series.
Dude, he's so awesome. He said he got his own spin-off series. Rohan is my favorite side character of all of JoJo. He's my fucking PlayStation icon, believe it or not. I personally asked you for cool Rohan pictures so I could do that, and I still have all of them saved. God, Rohan's such a legend. And like,
also, Shigechi is in this arc.
Shigechi. Harvest. What a legend. I'm going to put a picture
The amazing lottery episode.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I get teary just thinking about Shigechi.
Did you like the episode where Josuke and Jotaro go hunting?
Oh, with the rat? Yeah, I remember that. And the rat was... somehow this little fucking rat stand was taking it to them. I don't understand how it was, but man, this rat was a pain in the ass. Oh, and also, when the rat was eating, like, the human remains on the fridge, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
But man, when it comes to Diamond's Unbreakable, I could just gush about how much of a masterpiece it is till the cows come home. The openings of Diamond's Unbreakable...
Great Days.
It's got Great Days! Which is like the greatest anime opening of all time. Don't at me or quote me. Especially when we get Bites the Dust to reverse time inside the ending, and then we get the final chorus at the final episode. I just thought, oh my god, what a good arc. For me, it really nearly doesn't get any fucking better than that. The only way it does is the ending, Sailor Stars, which is the ending of my favorite anime of all time. And I think I only like that more because it's just the ending of my favorite anime ever. I think Diamond Unbreakable is probably the best arc I've ever seen. I still think about the characters every day, put them in situations in my head. They're just so timeless. I love this arc. And this is sort of like the fan favorite arc of JoJo. If it isn't part 7, it's usually part 4.
I'd say part 7's the fan. Part 7's the fan favorite, but
if
4. If they don't say 7, they say 4.
That's typically what it is. But part 7 is the fan favorite. However, I've not seen anything relating past this with JoJo because I haven't had time to read the manga of JoJo. Do you want to give us a quick summary of what anime or disgusting anime onlys can expect from JoJo
with part 5?
With part 5, yeah.
Yeah, with part 5, I don't like part 5 as much as 3 or 4. I would say 5 is as good as 3, though. Pretty much, it's on that same level, which basically puts it like masterpiece tier.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Part 5 probably has the best fights of the whole series. And when we get all these animated... And we've seen the preview of the anime at this point. Yes. The animation looks absolutely gorgeous, easily the best it's ever looked.
Of course.
This anime is going to be unreal. Seriously.
I agree with that. I saw the preview of the anime and I just thought, oh, it looks so clean. I can't wait to see all of these characters, the story being told. It just looks like it's going to be an amazing...
With Part 5, I will say it has the weakest villain of the whole series, Diavolo. And he's still kind of cool, but he is nowhere near as cool as Kira, who we got before, or Dio.
Isn't his stand called King Crimson?
Yeah.
That's a cool name because King Crimson's a cool band. But aside, I wouldn't know much about him. But I've seen what he looks like, and I'd say he's probably has my least favorite design of any JoJo villain at that point. Is he the one with like the pink hair and like the spider webs? Yeah, he's my least favorite design, bar none, as far as JoJo villains go. I like every single like villain design more than him. He's my least favorite design.
Maybe a controversial opinion about Part 5.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, I would say it is that Giorno is JoJo out of all of them.
I wouldn't know personally. I haven't seen him, but honestly, Giorno, I've never heard too many great things about him. It's more the other cast that sort of carries the dead weight of Giorno throughout the arc. The other thing Giorno has going for him, I hear, is a very, very, very overpowered stand.
Yeah, easily at the end, easily the most overpowered stand of the whole series. Gold Experience, Requiem.
Yeah. I think it's the ability to transform something into anything else and give life to other things.
Yeah.
I read about that much. It seems very different in comparison to Star Platinum or Crazy Diamond.
Yeah.
Where it's not about offense, it's about other ways of winning. So it's odd.
He does have something going for him, though. He's Dio's son, so he got that.
He's also, I guess he's also Jonathan's son since, you know, Dio...
Yeah, because Jonathan's body.
Isn't it fucked up how we can have the son of Jonathan and Dio and JoJo? Only in JoJo can a baby from two men actually happen. A baby from two men that, like, were in the 1800s and now we're in the 2000s, and that's...
Really.
To think about it. But,
and also, in this one, you get one of my favorite stands, Sticky Fingers, from Bruno, who might as well be the main character, pretty much. He feels like he is, when I read the manga.
Yeah, that's
and you get Guido Mista, who's also one of my favorites from this part. He has Sex Pistols, and I think he has one of the coolest stands.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how that all transpires. But now, folks, you've heard our opinions on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, what I want to do is, why are you sitting here listening to our Godcast? You should go up and watch some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure if you haven't already. Or rewatch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because it's so amazing. Why aren't you rewatching this shit? It's too good not to watch multiple times. So, I'll pretty much end things there with that. This was a shorter episode than usual, but we'll be back before you know it with another Wrestling Godcast because Extreme Rules, the time of recording...
Oh, that's going to be fun. Yeah, we get such great matches as Roman Reigns versus Lashley and Asuka versus Carmella with
the Mongoloid in a shark cage.
Mongo in a shark cage match.
Yeah, so excited to see that. But,
man, we have potentially what will be a Backlash tier pay-per-view coming up.
Already a Backlash tier pay-per-view.
Seriously.
Already one of the worst pay-per-views of all time, and we are already getting another one, just one pay-per-view afterwards. Just yikes. It wasn't that long ago that we watched Backlash, so that's ridiculous.
Roman Reigns will somehow have like an even worse match than he did with Joe on this.
Yeah, it's gonna be outrageous. But we'll talk about all that wrestling shizzle and stuff in the next episode. With that, this is the Sailors, Dodo, signing off. Catch y'all next time.